Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your second and final video blog of the night for Friday, December 25th, 2015, around 8:16 in the evening in Billerica, Massachusetts. It's Christmas night. Hopefully all you Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter have celebrated Christmas, and hope you got a lot of gifts from Santa, and it's a few more hours before Christmas is all over. It's one of the few days a year that families spend together. It's a day of family, not working or not doing anything else. Those things with Christmas are meant for family. It was very, very warm in New England. Spring-like day again. Highs in the 60s. More records are being broken. This weekend's going to be above average, but it's going to be a little cooler and a chance of rain. Tuesday might have the first winter storm of the season in southern New England, but the model trends are saying it could be a warmer solution. So that means maybe there won't be any snow in southern New England. Maybe it'll just be a cold rain. Some news to report. That Christmas Day is the day for the NBA, and the Heat, the Bulls, and the Warriors won. And the teams that are playing on Christmas Day were special uniforms. This year's uniforms were kind of, a little ridiculous in my humble opinion. I don't like the Christmas uniforms the teams wear. Why can't they wear like alternate uniforms that are like decent, not like kind of outrageous? That's about it on that. My second and final video blog of the night is about the former ECW faction, the Triple Threat. The Triple Threat had a couple of incarnations in ECW between 1995 through 1998, and its leader was the franchise St. Douglas. The first incarnation of the Triple Threat happened around the winter and spring of 1995, when the franchise St. Douglas, who was the ECW World Champion at the time, aligned himself with the Iceman Dean Malenko, who became the Man of 1,000 Holds, and the Crippler Chris Benoit. He did exist, my friends, not like the WWE has basically erased him from history, but he did exist. And Benoit, Douglas, and Malenko were heels, and every time they would attack face wrestlers in ECW, and they would do the Triple Threat sign like that. They were a faction for a few months until Shane Douglas left for the WWE to become Dean Douglas, and Chris Benoit and Dean Malenko went to WCW. The second incarnation of the Triple Threat, well, the most successful one, was happened between 1997 through 1998. Shane Douglas was the leader again, the franchise. He was with his head cheerleader Francine, and the members of the Triple Threat were no gimmicks needed. Chris Candido and the Bulldozer Brian Lee, which there were rumors it was going to be Brian Lee and Chris Candido and the Eliminators, Saturn and Cronus, but it was Candido and Lee, and this incarnation lasted a few months, from like the winter of 1996-97 through the spring of 1997. Candido and Lee and Douglas, like the main feud was with the Pitbulls, number 1 and 2, and it lasted a few months, but there was a masked wrestler coming out stalking Shane Douglas, and that masked wrestler sounded like Ravishing Rick Rude. At first, the masked wrestler denied he was Ravishing Rick Rude, but eventually on the first pay-per-view of ECW Barely Legal, it was Pitbull number 2 against Shane Douglas for the ECW Television Championship. But the stipulation was if Shane Douglas beat Pitbull number 2, then the masked wrestler would have to reveal his true identity. Douglas won that match, but then another masked wrestler for the bigger size guy than Rick Rude came out and unmasked. It was the bulldozer Brian Lee, who was Shane Douglas's member of the Triple Threat, and then Rick Rude comes out. It was actually a plot for Rick Rude to steal Brian Lee from the Triple Threat. It was I think Brian Lee and the franchise Shane Douglas was going to feud, but eventually Brian Lee signed with the WWE, and that never happened. The next member of the Triple Threat was the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow, who joined the Triple Threat in like May of 1997 when he attacked Balls Mahoney in a match when like Candido and Douglas was beating up on Balls Mahoney, and this Triple Threat lasted several months. They feuded with all the faces in ECW. They even got Ravishing Rick Rude to become this manager along with Francine, and this is around the time when Shane Douglas he lost the ECW TV Championship to Taz, but he won the ECW World Championship against Terry Funk and Sabu at the second ECW pay-per-view. His reign was a few months, and he lost to fellow Triple Threat member Bam Bam Bigelow, and he was getting advice from Ravishing Rick Rude and Francine, and like Tammy Lynn Sitch was, and Candido was like begging the Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bigelow, not to wrestle Shane Douglas because they were friends. Bam Bam beats Shane Douglas for the ECW World title, but like Shane Douglas regains the title a few weeks later at November 1997, and Chris Candido was teaming at this time with Lance Storm, and Lance Storm was trying to get his foot in the door as a member of the Triple Threat. Chris Candido and Lance Storm actually became ECW World Tag Team Champions at this time as well, and in January 1998 it was a 3-on-2 match. It was a handicap match at the ECW arena. It was Shane Douglas and Chris Candido and Lance Storm facing off against Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow, and this match was going to prove that Lance Storm would be part of the Triple Threat, but it was a shocking turn that Bam Bam Bigelow turned on Taz and rejoined the Triple Threat, and then they booted Chris Candido out, they booted Lance Storm out, but there was one problem. Lance Storm and Chris Candido were ECW World Tag Team Champions, and Shane Douglas and Bam Bam Bigelow and Chris Candido were together again, and this one lasted several more months. For a time in March of 1998, the Triple Threat were hold all the titles at ECW with like Shane Douglas, the ECW World Champion, Bam Bam Bigelow, the Television Champion, and Chris Candido as one half of the World Tag Team Champions. And they feuded with like a lot of wrestlers and stuff. Eventually Candido lost his share of the ECW World Tag Team Championship with Lance Storm to Sabu and Rob Van Dam, and also Taz lost the ECW World title to Rob Van Dam as well. And this Triple Threat continued until November 1998 when they feuded with another version of the Triple Threat, which was Rob Van Dam, Sabu, and Taz. They had a pay-per-view match at November 1998. But that was the last match that the Triple Threat would tag team in ECW, because Bam Bam Bigelow went to WCW. Chris Candido was fired by ECW and stuff. But he came back a couple of times, and Shane Douglas was by himself with Francine and stuff. Eventually, Shane Douglas lost the ECW World title to Taz, and they were going to turn like Shane Douglas Babyface, and he was going to team with Tommy Dreamer. There were rumors that Shane Douglas was going to turn on Tommy Dreamer and form a new triple threat with Just Incredible and Lance Storm, but Shane Douglas left ECW around the spring of 1999 because he was owed so much money to him by the owner of ECW, Paul Heyman. This is when they were bouncing checks like crazy, and Shane Douglas went to WCW. The triple threat actually reunited a couple of times in WCW in 2000 with Shane Douglas and Chris Candido and Bam Bigelow, but they weren't called the triple threat and stuff. The triple threat was kind of big that even Chris Candido got a tattoo of the triple threat symbol, like with the three of them, which was pretty awesome. They reunited again in 2004 at like an independent show, and that was the last time they were together in the ring. In 2005, Chris Candido passes away at the age of 33 due to having a blood clot in his lungs. Bam Bigelow passes away in 2007 for a drug overdose, which was rumored to be suicide because Bam was facing somewhat of serious prison time because of failure child support payment, but it was never conclusive that he committed suicide and stuff, but it was, a drug overdose. And Shane Douglas is still living and stuff. I thought the triple threat was a good faction in ECW and stuff. It was kind of their version of the Four Horsemen, and this was kind of a knock on the Four Horsemen because for years Shane Douglas had major heat with Ric Flair. And that's about it on that. That's about it on these video blogs. Be back tomorrow, the regular 3 video blogs today. First video blog will be about the top 10 sports stars ever to win numbered 52. Second video blog will be about my predictions for the NFL in 2016. The last predictions I'm going to make in 2016 with crystal balls. And the third and final video blog of the night will be about the classic game show Face the Music, hosted by Ron Ely, which lasted about a year in syndication. Lots of great surprises in 2016, maybe video guest interviews. I'm shooting for the stars. And don't forget Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. If you want to send a plug or a shout out, private message me. It will be shouted out. I won't be making shout outs if you don't send it to me. Have a good night. Keep calm. I'm a Julie Brenner guy, Molly Rosenblatt of WCCO Channel 4 in Minneapolis. St. Paul rocks and has nice legs. Elizabeth Hart is so stunning. She has nice legs as well. Shirley Spear of Fox 25 rocks. Amy Swensey's the best. Bob Gibbs has a sweet southern accent and she has nice legs. Julie Donaldson of Comcast Sports Mid-Atlantic's the best, and she's also got nice legs as well. And in the words of Dee Patel last week, no boss, Merry Christmas, everybody. Only 3.5 more hours left of it. Bye now.